a little bit more of shredding or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really, to me, it doesn't really make sense to do that in Epica. So it can be a pretty cool technique. It kind of depends on the music, but you know, in this band, no, I probably don't want to use it. So, but hey, you never know. Perhaps in the future, we'll see. Next question. The fan club Epica Brasil official completed 10 years of existence, working as a support for the band and fans. What do you have to say about fan clubs? Well, obviously, what I really like about fan clubs is that it's amazing to see how you people are so supportive and dedicated and so passionate about a band. That's really amazing, and I really like to thank you also on behalf of the rest of the Epica members, and of course I'd like to congratulate you guys with the 10th year anniversary, of course, and let's hope for 10 more years to come. So that there will be participation of a children's choir on Epica 8. That's, by the way, the working title of the new album. Not gonna spoil the title yet. As well as different instruments and orchestra. What can you say about the choirs and orchestration of the new album? Well, what can I say? What we did, the holographic principle was like the very first album that we did all the orchestration and choirs in real life, so not working with samples, because normally we work a lot with software. I mean, software works really great these days. It's samples have become so awesome and sound so natural. But the thing is that you can never really copy like a real actual orchestra or a choir. You can't copy like the real human sound, to be honest. And so this time we were actually hoping for, you know, to do like to not record everything in separate sessions, or sections, I should say, but to be able to record an orchestra at once. So it's more like this is the sound you get, deal with it, and it sounds way more natural. And actually, we had some experience, or at least we looked around which orchestras would be pretty cool to work with, and there were many people who had a real good experience with the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra. For instance, Mayan has also worked with them for the last album, and I heard a lot of good stories also from the guys from Dimmu Borgir, and they also did a lot of really cool soundtracks for amazing films, going from Star Wars movies to Harry Potter or whatever. So that means these people know what they're doing. And it was an amazing experience. I also went there with Joost and Koen to Prague to record it. And yeah, it's an almost indescribable experience when you hear that. And the cool thing is that what makes it so special is that sometimes you can actually, people hear making like tiny mistakes, but that's exactly what makes it sound human. And that's what makes it sound so big, actually. And that's really cool. And wait till you hear it. It sounds amazing. Same goes with the choir. I mean, you can also like kind of synthesize a choir with, you know, recording just a few people and adding more layers to it. But this time we worked like with an extra choir, but also with a children's choir recorded in a church. So you also have the acoustics of a church, which makes it sound also pretty big. And the cool thing about that as well is that both Koen's daughter and his son also sing on the choir, so that makes it extra special, of course. And yeah, of course, we always add some extra instruments like oriental instruments or woodwinds and whatever kind of stuff. You'll probably hear it when the album is released. Next question. Since the recordings have been completed, is production, mixing going on, or has it stopped due to pandemic? No, actually, we were still quite lucky, to be honest. I remember that when the whole lockdown situations started here in Europe, we just recorded the orchestra in Prague and also the choir here in Holland. So yeah, so musically everything was already finished. The only thing that still had to be recorded were like the lead vocals, which is of course pretty important. But Simone fixed it together with Joost. He was able to record it at a local studio in Germany, doing it online while Joost was actually looking at it on a webcam. That must have been a pretty weird situation, but the end result was pretty good, I must say. Better than I expected. So kudos to Joost and obviously also to Simone for that. And Mark recorded his grunts at home, which worked out also really well, surprisingly well. Really happy about that. The mixing and all the all the post production and stuff like that, it's basically finished. Right now we're running up the artwork and all the stuff, all other like post production kind of stuff, and yeah, we're getting there. So now we're still waiting for the release date, of course. And let me see. Oh, and a final question. Time flies. To conclude, could you recommend to the fans a CD or a band that you are currently listening to, or your favorite? And some reading, page, website profile, blah blah blah. Of course, I can always recommend music. Well, my musical taste is all over the place. I've also been listening a lot to soundtracks, for instance, lots of Hans Zimmer stuff. I'm really addicted to the soundtrack of Blade Runner 2049. I really love that soundtrack, but also looking forward to the soundtrack of Tenet. And I've also been listening to, what was the name again? Der Falcolini, I believe it's called the Fellini Case. That's a pretty cool soundtrack. But obviously, I also listen to a lot of bands. I have some vinyl over here. I do listen a lot to stuff on Spotify, but I'm still a big collector of records, of course. I'm really looking forward to the next Deep Purple album. It's going to be released this week. This is an EP with some tracks of it that haven't been released yet. And so far, it makes me quite happy. I can really recommend it. I've been listening to the latest Nick Cave album. Nick Cave and the Best, it goes Ghosteen. This is a pretty different album. It's not what I'm really used to of Nick Cave, but yeah, I really dig it. It's a very, very special album. Check it out. Another one that I've been listening to. Oh, here, yeah. I don't know if you know these guys. They're called the Kvelertak. They're from Norway. It's also they sing most of their songs in Norse. And yeah, how can you describe their music? It's a bit of a mixture between, yeah, punk hardcore / classic rock / almost black metal. But most of all, they're really rock and roll, and they are such an amazing live band as well. Really love this album. Unfortunately, I couldn't see them on tour because I believe they just started their tour for a few gigs and they had to cancel the rest because of the whole virus situation. Pretty sad. Oh yeah, one of my favorite bands, High on Fire, always good. For people who don't know them, sound-wise, I would kind of describe it as first of all, they're pretty heavy. It's a bit more like a stoner metal. And I think this it's a mixture between Motorhead with the heaviness of Black Sabbath into it. So, yeah. Can also recommend stuff like this. I've also been listening. Oh yeah, Tribulation. Awesome band. They are pretty, well, I wouldn't say necessarily call them a gothic band or whatever, but they have like a certain gothic vibe into it. They have a lot of classic rock elements into it, but also, yeah, kind of black metal-ish, especially regarding the vocals. Also an amazing live band. If you can ever check them out, do it. Let me see. Oh, this is also a cool album. This has been released this year. Oranzi Pazuzu. This is not like the average kind of music. This is a very experimental band. Yeah, how would I describe it? I would probably call it like experimental black metal almost. It's pretty almost avant-garde kind of. I think it's pretty hard to describe. You should just check it out. It's not like everyday music, I can tell you that. So, of course, this is actually a record that I played on myself. It's called Chemical Butterfly by my friend Mick Hubb. This, yeah, musically it's mostly rock music. It's a blend of like, yeah, kind of 90s grunge kind of music mixed with 70s rock, 60s rock. You can hear all these different kind of elements into it. You can hear influences from Soundgarden, Chris Cornell into it, but also Tom Petty in it. You can hear Electric Light Orchestra. We actually also did a cover from it on this album. It was a really amazing album to record, by the way. That was really cool. Almost everything you hear on this album has been recorded live. Really amazing. And also this record, yeah, of course. Heaven and Hell. This is actually the last album that Ronnie James Dio sang on. And let's face it, to me, this is basically the last Black Sabbath album. It's called Heaven and Hell, but to me, this is basically Black Sabbath because the lineup was the Black Sabbath lineup with Ronnie James Dio in it. But they changed the name. I guess it has to do with the rights and all that kind of crap. But yeah, I kind of rediscovered this album, and it's amazing. If you're really into like the really heavier, doomy kind of Dio, Black Sabbath kind of stuff, then you're really gonna dig this album. So yeah, that's and I have way more, but I'm not gonna bother you guys with that. So anyway, I hope my answers kind of made sense to you guys. Please take care, of course. Don't get infected. Stay at home. Wear your masks. Take care of everybody around you. Take care of yourself, of course. And I hope to see you guys on the road as soon as possible, of course. And we're looking forward to release the new Epica album and come your way and do an amazing show again. So for now, thanks again for your support, and hope to see you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.